Hi, my name is Lenin.
How are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm doing good. It's been a great day.
Have you been working on lately? Have you been working on anything?
Lately, I have been working on taking a sketch that I made a few years ago that I've been really proud of and transitioning it to a bigger canvas. So also changing the medium, right? Going from like sketching, drawing to painting it on a larger scale.
Is it like a small portrait?
No, it's like the sketch is like an 8x10 out of a sketchbook, regular size, and then the canvas is much bigger.
How big is it?
I don't remember the canvas. I want to say like 11x16, maybe more.
I've always found it interesting, how do you go about from a little one to a larger scale? Because I've seen people that make their little scales and then
And they blow it up. Yeah.
I think to myself, how do you do that? It's crazy, because I would think that whenever I used to draw, I would look from far, like, okay, that looks right. So how do you transfer that one onto like a bigger canvas?
Yeah, there are two methods that I know of. So if anyone else is I guess three. If anyone else is out there doing something that I don't know about, please share. But one of them is to do like a grid of your original or small piece, right? Break it up into a grid, and then you take those grids and you put them on your larger scale, and then you essentially copying brick by brick, right? Another way is the way that I'm doing it, which is using a projector. So I've scanned my image and I have a digital projector, so then I project it onto the blank canvas. So I go in and I trace it, and then once it's traced, then I go back and you start painting over.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could see, now I can visualize, because before I was like, how do you do that? Yeah.
And the other way is really just eyeballing it, right? If you don't have either one of those methods or ways of doing that, just, and then you just, And sometimes it might even be better, you know? But.
Yeah, because I think personally, if I was doing the grid, I would probably try to match exactly how it is on the grid, and I feel like it would throw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
Although it's supposed to help you.
I definitely understand that, because it feels like, well, yeah, now each individual block is its own, but you still have to make it cohesively work. So like the lines from one box have to connect to another. So yeah, that definitely works when you're doing like a mural. Like I've done that on mural scales.
Got it.
When you have like 10 people working on a big wall, that helps, because then everyone has their block and they're like, and then.
That makes sense. You just shined light on that big question I had. How do you blow this a little thing up? But now it makes sense, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So how did you get into that creative side? Because I know we've talked before, and you mentioned that you have multiple facets of creativity that you're looking to, or you are into.
Yeah, for sure. I was really lucky and fortunate to have like a really, really fantastic art program in high school. I had a kick-ass teacher. Our space was really great, and it was attached to the wood shop. So we were always like, I learned how to like make my own like canvases, like wooden frame, and then stretch a canvas and then paint a painting on it. Which at the time I didn't really appreciate until I was older, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't believe. I would meet other artists, and I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to stretch a canvas? You didn't do that in high school? What? And they're like, what are you talking about? How do you know how to stretch a canvas? Anyways, so it started really young. Even before that, like just being a kid and always drawing, and my parents gifted me like a drafting table. You know, it's one of those like tables that go up, so it's not so like cartoonists use it. When I was, again, like a kid. So it's always been there. It's always been a big passion. And then around high school, around that same time, I started just like hand painting my Vans shoes, or like my friends' old Vans shoes. And really it just started with Sharpies. And then I kept progressing and started using acrylic paints. And then I really got into it for a couple years, where I was like getting commission work and selling just my work in the form of walking art. And it was really cool to like paint something and then gift it to someone at a price, gift it to someone, and just watch them, like just watch people's face light up when they see this unique, piece of fashion that no one else is gonna have. And it really brought me a lot of joy.
Aside from joy, what else would you feel when you would present it? Because I know the whole process, the effort you'd put into it, and then giving to them, besides joy, would you feel anything else?
Yeah, I mean, definitely like, a success, a feeling of accomplishment. Like, I mean, with any piece, and I think any artist probably could say that they feel that way is once they finish something. It's like such a satisfying moment. Like, yeah, I did that.
Touching on the subject of success, let's lead on to the nitty-gritty good questions.
Yeah.
What is your definition of success in life?
My personal definition of that is to just know that I am content and happy with who I am, and who I am is an artist. And I'm still kind of on that journey of finding out what kind of artist I am and what I'm trying to say with my art, and how it's going to evolve, right, as I grow. So for me, that's what success looks like, is just being content and being happy with the person that I am, because we don't have too much time, I'm not here for a long time, but I'm here for a good time.
That's
right? Yeah,
That's right.
That part.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in that path, what are some challenges that you have faced or are currently facing?
I know that a lot of the challenges, like the bumps in the road, right, or the blocks, literal blocks, let's call them, of that are in the road to my success, or what I think is my successful moment, is just self-doubt, right? Feeling like am I doing this right? Am I supposed to be doing this? Or rather, is this the right space for me? And it's easy to feel that way when, the future's so unclear, so you don't know how you're gonna get to the goal. You may have a goal, but sometimes I don't know how to get to it, So yeah, I think those have just been, I am my own biggest critic, and I don't think you would find an artist that isn't.
Right. I feel like it's a common thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that your own self-doubt is kind of a hurdle that you have to go through. Although you've put in a lot of work, you've studied and learned things you mentioned that other artists didn't know. And your work has actually been bought and worn by other people. And it's interesting that although you have that experience and those experiences that you've gone through, you still get that feeling.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you have done or you think that you could do in order to kind of surpass that hurdle?
I think one of the biggest tools that I learned, or that I've had in my arsenal, when facing those blocks of self-doubt, is just reminding myself that those are all false. Reminding myself of the truth, which is I don't have any restraints. I am in fact limitless in a way, in terms of reaching my goals. So reminding myself of that is kind of how I get past those. It's hard, and if I can't do it, I have people in my life that can help remind me. My partner, my mentor. I'm really lucky to have people around me that can also be like, hey, don't forget, you're a badass. Don't forget, you can do this.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, damn, you're right, I forgot. I doubted myself for a minute, but you reminded me.
How have things been different with those people who help remind you, hey, you could do it, you have this limitless possibilities, of things that you could accomplish? How does it change with having those people around your life?
It definitely helps push me out of my comfort zone, which I think we all, as humans, need to do. It's accountability, essentially, right? I talk a big talk to the people closest to me, and then they have the nerve to hold me accountable to those things. So it helps me, stay on track and stay true to my word. And yeah, if something's uncomfortable, if I don't want to do it, I got to do it. And ultimately, it's always a great payoff, right? Even if nothing came from it, rather than a lesson, I still put myself out there and will yield results.
You mentioned that you love to dabble in multiple different forms of art. Have you had any update on which one you've been preferring currently, or is this still something you're in the search of?
Yeah, it's still something that I haven't quite put a pin in quite yet, but as I mentioned, I have a fantastic mentor. He reminded me that it's always good to get in touch with your roots, you know, get back to the basics, essentially, if you're feeling lost, like, you know, don't forget who you are, where you came from. He's also Mexicano like me. So for us, it's very much about like digging into our ancestry, our heritage. And I get that a lot when I see family and I spend time with them. Going back to the basics for me is just painting and drawing. And so, like I said, I'm in the middle of transitioning something that I've done in my past. Like I said, a sketch that I'm really proud of. When I always go back through my work, I see it and I'm like, I'm really proud of that one. So I took from my past and I'm gonna make it anew into my future, and using the medium that has been tried and true for me. Rather than, you know, I've tried to dabble in digital art, spray paint, sculpture, and it's all been super fun. But I still feel like, but who am I, right? Like I still can't quite pinpoint that, so.
I've heard many different stories and experiences, even personally, where finding what it is that fuels your soul most, you gather that by just acting upon different things. For example, me and this art form, for me this is an art form, right? And I've been slowly figuring it out. At first, so I'm like, I don't really know how I want to guide that, but I have learned that as I've been working on this more and more, I get little droplets of creativity from different facets, either where it's online or people that I've had a conversation with that have been on here, and they tell me, hey, maybe you could try this, maybe you could try that. Or, for example, last night, I was about to fall asleep, and I got this sudden sense of inspiration. I'm like, oh, wow, I hope Lenin's up to the new creativity challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like something that's worked for me. So it's good to hear that you're following along that, even going to your roots. Because then I feel like when you go into your roots, you're gonna start working towards something. And then let's say, you know, that portrait you're saying you're gonna grow, and then that'll probably inspire you for the next thing. And then the next
Definitely,
thing.
Hopefully, right? That's, yeah. It'll get the ball rolling at least, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for the shoes that you've done before that you were showing me earlier, what was your creative process like for that?
So those, when I did those, they were very much, they were all commission-based pieces, meaning I definitely wanted to check in with the person who was buying them, right? The person I was painting them for, the person who was gonna enjoy them. I wanna make sure you enjoy them. So there'd be like a consultation where we would talk and I'd have a few questions about like, you know, what are you into? Like, let's talk about your fashion choices, your color schemes, you know, just to find something that I know you're gonna love, right? Which has yielded like a lot of different kind of stuff. So I've done like really fun, you know, pop culture references like Harry Potter shoes, you know, or I've done like sports themed shoes, which is not typically something that I would paint, but somebody, you know, being here in San Jose was a big Sharks fan, was like, oh, let me get some Shark shoes. And I was like, yeah, of course, I can do that. So originally when I've been doing those, it's been kind of based off of what the client wants.
Got it, I see. So coming the new year, you got what, a month and a half? You're mentioning you're gonna really give more time to this. What are you looking to get out of that?
Very much what I've been saying, which is trying to find my voice or my aesthetic as an artist. So again, pulling from my past, going back to basics, doing something I did in high school, which was painting shoes, bringing it back to the now, and maybe approaching it differently. Maybe it's not so much about, hey, what do you want? And more about like, this is what I think is cool or what I love. And if you want to purchase it, great. If not, it's not for you.
It starts with you.
Right, yeah, just being more true to myself.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you do that self-search and self-work, then you start realizing what you really want to be doing, the fun of it. That way, because there's so many outside factors that I feel like will more or less, even if it's not upfront, it'll influence kind of what you're doing with so many different things that we see online and people saying things. And I'm sure as an artist, there's a lot of criticism and, oh, like maybe that's not right, but you have your own art form, which as long as it brings you value and you keep creating, I feel like the importance is just constant creativity.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. What are other art forms that you've done besides the painting and the shoes?
Let's see, what else have I done? I dabbled in photography for a bit. My older brother, I come from I would say, a pretty artistic family. My brother also is a professional photographer now. My younger brother works on like detailing custom cars, even though he wants to deny that it's creative. I tell him, no, you're an artist. Like, you know what, like you make these cars look dope. Like, that's artistry. So I've dabbled in photography, calligraphy. I did a lot of throwing, throwing is like clay work, like that wheel where you put some clay on it and you make like a pot. So I did that for a couple of years. I actually taught like a after school program for elementary kids for a year or two. Yeah, it was super fun.
You've even taught.
Yeah, I even taught art. Yeah.
You get it's interesting because you get self-doubt.
Yeah.
But the more we talk about things, the more you have your track record of you give less of a credit that you're due.
Yeah, definitely, right? I think it's hard, and that's one of the things I'm trying to do in the new year is be my own hype man.
That's right.
Right, in terms of art. My other facets in my life, I'm very comfortable in my skin, I'm comfortable with who I am, but when it comes to gassing myself for art, I'm like most artists, I'm like, yeah, whatever, I just paint here and there, you know? And then it's not until someone asks me like, well, what else have you done? I'm like, well, actually I've done A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know?
That's awesome. So for anyone that's watching and they're on their path to their definition of success, based on all your experience, what kind of words of wisdom would you give them?
Don't do it. Go to college, get a degree. I'm just kidding. I was like, oh wow. Run away. No, God, I guess what I tell myself, like, just be true to who you are, even if it feels like you don't know who that is. Just wake up every day and choose you. You know, I know that sometimes people get accused of being selfish, but I don't think being selfish is necessarily always negative. You know, it's okay to choose you. And in doing that, I feel like you find out more of who you are. Right, and I say that from the experience, like I said, of being comfortable with who I am. I'm a young man in my mid-30s, so I feel like I know who I am, but it took time to choose me. And so now I'm taking that same outlook and applying it to art, so I guess I would say that to somebody out there who's also trying to figure themselves out artistically or whatever. Just be true to yourself.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lenin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That was great.